Hi, everyone. My name is Carrie Wise. I'm with TrueCar, and I'm joined by my coworker, Matt Jones, for this week's Industry Insider. We get together every Tuesday to interview all the movers and shakers in the automotive industry. Thanks so much for joining us. Matt, why don't you give them a little bit more background on Industry Insider?
You know what, guys? First off, thank you for carving the time out of your day to join Carrie and I today. Industry Insider is a show that we are very, very proud of here at TrueCar, because everybody at TrueCar actually loves automotive. Carrie's been in the business for 20 years. I've been in the business for 20 years. We absolutely love it. And our sole purpose at TrueCar is to make automotive better for all participants, people who buy and people who sell. But right now, we focus on people who sell. And so what we decided to do is create a show called Industry Insider, dealer-to-dealer conversations. And we bring on some of the best people in the industry onto this show and let them share their tips, their tricks, their techniques with the dealer body. And the idea is that hopefully, sometimes you just need to hear from somebody who's wearing your own shoes, who's living your own life, as opposed to hearing a bunch of vendors and third parties telling you how to get better. So this week we have on Sean Hogan, and I'm very, very thrilled about that. I'll tell you a little bit more about him in just a second. I think Carrie wants to has a couple things to say as well.
Yeah, and speaking of sharing, make sure to share this with all of your friends on Facebook. We want to get as many people on. And if you have questions, make sure you ask us during the show. We'll make sure we post them to Sean throughout the interview. I also just want to say this is brought to you by TrueCar. If you want more information on TrueCar and you're a dealer, you can go to truecar.com/dealer to find out more information on our program. So without further ado, today's show, we're going to be talking about determining who is your real buyer as a dealership and finding ways to uniquely communicate and market to them. And I'll let you introduce our guest, Matt.
So as I said, first and foremost, our guest is Sean. And the thing I like about Sean the most is he's just a great guy. But, that's just him as a person. But when it comes to running a dealership, you're unlikely to find anybody who's better than him. He's an industry vet. He knows the business inside and out. But he stays on the cutting edge. He's like really tech oriented, but more importantly than that, he stays on the cutting edge of conversations with his consumers, which sometimes change, which it evolves. I want to set a precedent. We're not talking about having 3 customers at a table and understanding who the buyer is between the 3 customers. We're talking about your segment, your market, your actual demographic, and that's what Sean's a master at. So without any more ado, thank you very much. We'd like to welcome Sean to the show.
Good morning. Carrie, Matt, how are you?
Hey, Sean, nice to see you again. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You definitely win the prize before we jump into the interview for the best background we've ever had on the show. I hope we don't offend others, but we have never seen a background. Are you actually physically at the dealership right now, or is this your really nice home that you live in?
No, I'm at the store. We're retail. We're always at the store, right? So no, my office is more like a nightclub, which gives the whole vibe of our dealership, right? I mean, our dealership is probably something different. We like to have fun, like to be kind of high energy. So instead of having multiple trophies and whatnot, or whatever the typical office is of a general manager, we prefer to change it up a little bit and do more of a kind of a cool nightclub vibe, which just kind of sets the tone for the whole store.
Yeah, it's very modern. And once again, before we jump into your background, I think what's cool is just looking at you. You look like someone from TrueCar. You look like you could be one of our tech guys, right? That you're casual, you have a really cool background. And I think that alone, I can tell a lot about your culture and your store in terms of being modern and high tech, just by your background and how you're even dressed,
Yeah, so we do things a little bit different. We encourage our staff to wear more of our branding. So not so much the suit and tie, but a lot of them are in, in Jeep joggers or Dodge sweatshirts. And we actually have our own clothing line for all of our different brands. And then, of course, we offer a huge discount and basically give it away free to all of our employees. And it's just a much different culture than trying to get people into suit and ties and making people feel uncomfortable. When they come to work, the sales staff, the parts people every day, they come to work and they're already in our brand when they're driving to work, right? So when they get to the store, it's more just a connection of themselves. They're already feeling the brand. They got their Dodge shirt on, the horsepower rules, or whatever they're stating, whatever they feel like today. Because when you pick out your clothes, right, it's kind of like a statement of how you're feeling today, right? And you'll see them bring different stuff. So someday they'll wear the Dodge, horsepower shirts, or another day it's the Jeep off-roading shirts, and the Jeep pants, or the Dodge sweatpants, or it's just different every day, and which is fun because you can kind of get an idea of everybody's tone for the day by what they're wearing.
Yeah, I think it makes it more personal to the customer. And I want to talk to you about your clothing line. But first, I want to ask you about yourself. Give us a little background on yourself, your career in automotive, and how you got to where you are.
So yeah, I've been in the automobile dealership since '94, right? So I've definitely been around the block. My partner and I, we worked together a long time. I was a GM, GSM, and pretty much done everything, every position, service parts, you name it. And we finally kind of saved our money and put it together. And now we are partners in 2 new car stores that we have and currently growing. We weren't given anything, so we kind of had to make, what they say, chicken salad out of what. So yeah, obviously we got one very, very, very tough, struggling store. And we made it amazing, not just, myself and him, but really, by connecting with our employees, researching the market, like we talked about, connecting with our customer base. And it's blown up, and it's been great for us. We've literally shot from, absolutely nothing to one of the most powerhouse Chrysler Dodge Jeep stores in LA, which is a big market, right? And then, of course, we recently got another one in our Monrovia location. So it's been very good to us.
So you took over this store about 2 years ago, right?
We bought it in August of 2018. So basically September was our first month.
September was the first month. So tell us about like some of the changes, because you said, for the people who are viewing, when he said they took over the store and was basically doing nothing. That's not that's not like really too much of an understatement. It's like they're really
doing nothing. That's why we can get it, right? So let me back up, and first of all, because kind of give you an understanding of what we had some of the challenges with, right? So I was working out of San Diego. Okay, very laid back. I kind of live that beach lifestyle. I still do today, right? So I'm here, I'm in San Diego and, wearing jeans and, hanging out at work, which I still do today, right? My partner is from Orange County, and he'll be in flip-flops and board shorts pretty much daily. That's all he wears. Okay, working the desk. I don't care where he is. He's in board shorts and flip-flops. Okay, so then we buy this place in downtown LA. Could it be more different than Orange County and by the beach in San Diego, right? Mm-hmm. So we really had to dive in and research the market. Okay, how do we connect with our buyer? Because our buyer is not what we're used to dealing with. So when we looked at the franchise, we really did a deep dive into our Polk data. Like a market master, some of the different terms that you've heard, but our Polk data, researching the buyer, researching who's in the area. So we take a look at who's in the area by demographic, income, right? And that's how we decided how we're going to chop up our advertising budget. I think a lot of people make mistakes is they look at what's worked for them before. And if I took the things that worked for me in San Diego and tried to apply them in LA, I'd be out of business. It just does not work, right? So I have to understand my buyer. The majority of people that come into this place do not look like me, right? So it's not me who I'm selling a car to. And then I have to find the connection with that buyer, right? I think great car dealerships are kind of like, they're kind of like great restaurants, right? So the management and the culture of the store has to be able to connect with its customer base, right? And you always see like a great restaurant, you can tell that management or the ownership is connecting with their customer base, and their customers feel welcomed, and they want to go there. It's a place they want to go. And that's what my partner and I wanted. So we took a look at the demographics, and then we tried some different things with how to reach those, our true customer base. And we've had a lot of fun doing it.
How, I mean, what challenges do you face, though? Because, you know, it's one thing to look at data and you might say, hey, we have a high percentage of Hispanics in our area, or we have this income level, but it's another thing to actually truly get in their shoes and do something that connects, because you could still have those disconnects, even if you know who your customer base is. Like, so how did you make that adjustment from like San Diego, Orange County flip-flops to your customer base, like in putting yourself in their shoes in some ways?
Well, first thing that I did is I moved in right into my community, right? I said, I'm going to rent a place in my community to kind of figure out, you know, I got to be with the people that I'm going to be around, right? So, I mean, LA is so compact that, you know, to get, especially downtown LA even more, right? So I needed to kind of feel the vibe. So I moved here for a little bit, right? And that was one of the things, like, okay, this is a lot different. The second thing is, I don't speak Spanish. I mean, I speak a little. I'm from Southern California, right? I mean, I can get through and order lunch, dinner, and I can, you know, kind of conversate a little bit. But for being in downtown LA, I need to be able to connect to that buyer. So how did I do it? One, when you reach out to your talent or your radio agency or your different agencies, we actually want to meet with the talent, right? And then we want to meet with the community. So what we did is we got with a different agency, and they kind of brought us different personalities that are big in the community, right? And so right away we jumped on those personalities and just paid them monthly to help us understand our community, to help us understand who their fan base is or their customer base is. And then we bring them into the store, right? And we kind of see and test, hey, how do they resonate with our customer base? Who are they actually bringing in? Are these people buyers? Are they not buyers, right? And it's a little bit of trial and error, but along the way, you're hanging out with all these different people and you're feeling the culture of what's in the area and the store, and you learn a lot very fast.
That is amazing. I almost want to like use applause when you were talking, because I've just never heard any business owner say like, I actually moved into the community. And I think a lot of companies do symbolic things to show, you know, their focus on diversity, or, you know, maybe they put out an ad here or there, but like actually interacting to the point of like living in the community. I mean, that answered my question. Like, I completely understood why you're so good at reaching that community. Matt, I know you wanted to show a video that the store has put out.
I think I don't know if I'll be able to show it on this link. I linked it. I sent it to you. It's in that doc.
Yeah, I can pull it up.
Yeah, let's talk about that in just a second. But Sean, what you did when you said with the ad agencies and understanding who the market was, I mean, that was like the first step. But then how did that like materialize? I mean, did it just mean like flyers or different sorts of like mail pieces, or did you do more things?
No, you got to engage, right? Mm-hmm. So what we would do is we want people visit. We wanted to make this an experience, right? So that's a real problem these days. Is you'll hear dealers complain, "Oh, I don't have any gross profit. I don't have any gross profit. I'm not making any money," right? I'm like, well, what are you selling? Right? Because if you're just giving a car away, then yeah, you're not making any money. But if you're providing experiences to your consumer when they come into your store, well, people will pay for experience. People want to go into the store. We keep hearing that nobody wants to go buy a car. They don't want to come into the store. I don't think that's true. You know, I think I look at LA and I look at the amount of people, and at least, you know, in the area that we cover, how many people are actually going to be able to buy a home in this area, right? It's really tough to save all that down payment, and it's so crazy expensive. So their car is going to be one of their biggest purchases for the family, right? So we make it an experience, whether it's through our clothing line, it's through our YouTubers or concert promotions that we do. You know, we always have something different going on to where when you come into our dealership, whether it's to visit our restaurant, dessert cafe, whether it's to look at the different cars, we're going to provide you with an experience. If you're going to drive to downtown LA or you're going to spend your time at our store, we want to make sure that you're impressed when you leave.
And for the people who are watching who might live outside of like LA or something, you may not understand how much trouble it is to get to downtown LA. Like if you go to downtown LA from anywhere other than downtown LA, it's a commitment. You know, I live in Long Beach. To go to downtown LA, you know, pre-COVID, the distance is about 28 miles or so, but the real distance is about 90 minutes. So if you're going to bring somebody to a place like that, and I love what you're saying, Sean, is like you have to reward them. It's not like, you know, they walked right next door. It didn't take them 20 seconds to get to where you are. Carrie, I sent you a link. I wonder if you could
Yeah, let me try it and see if I can play it. And I'm not sure if the sound is going to play, but we could at least try the video here. I'm
Sean, we're going to show a video of something you did.
I don't even know what link you're here. I'm excited to see this too.
It's about to be a surprise. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right,
yes,
I'm going to play this, and you tell us what this is about. Let me play it first. I don't know if the sound is going to work.
I love this. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead and play the link.
Yeah. Can you see it?
I can see it.
All right.
So we hired a monster truck to come out, right? And we did it on Sunday when the city's closed, so nobody would bust us. So we did a giant car crush. I hauled all these cars out there, right? And then we paid these guys to come out and crush these cars. And if you ever been to downtown LA or even in this area, you would never think you're going to see a monster truck show. And they ran for about 2 hours, and we shut down Figueroa. Literally, cars were stopping on the street, right? Because it's so loud. All these apartments were coming out, right? I mean, literally, Figueroa was shut down in both directions. And the police had to come just to even get traffic moving, because we were doing all these cool car crushes, and I had all sorts of fun with this big monster truck.
And Sean, where was this? What is the physical location that this is happening in?
It's our parking lot.
Now, were they all were they crushing Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Rams, or it was a various cars?
I could pull out and trade it. So we had these old trade-ins. I said, pull them out, just we line them up. And then we ran out of cars because the guy had so much fun. The crowd was egging this guy on, the driver and his partner. They got so into it. He goes, you got any more cars? And I go, well, let me see. Right? So we're taking trade-ins, and I'm like, do you mind if we crush it? And the people are like, what? I'm like, we're going to crush your car. We're going to crush your car. And so we would drive out there. And they're like, not my car.
This is insane.
What's that?
This is insane. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Wow.
You gotta remember, we're downtown with all the the big high rises, everything else. So the sound resonates, and people are just running out of the apartment going, what is going on there?
So I think what you said, Sean, what I really love is this is downtown LA.
Right next to Staples Center.
Like walking distance from the Staples Center. Like, this is not what you're expecting. You're not expecting to see the Raminator crushing cars in a lot on Figueroa, walking distance from the Staples Center, right? And these are the type of things that we wanted to talk to you about, because sure, you can send mailers, and I know obviously everybody doesn't have the budget for a Raminator, right? Obviously. Mm-hmm. But you can send mailers, or you can do, blast or mass emails, or you can do something that actually builds affinity with your communities to bring them fun. Because I don't know that monster truck wasn't for sale, and those trade-ins were for sale, right? And I didn't see anybody out front selling raffle tickets. There was no gain at that moment other than like, hey, let me do something cool. Let me introduce myself. Let me be a part of this city and part of this community. So I love that, and I think it's kind of an example of some of the other things that you've done, and we're going to jump into. But so what did you think of that, Carrie?
Well, yeah, I mean that was insane, and I think you're right. Like, when you look at typical social media posts for some dealers or just advertising, like, it's all about the transaction in many cases. It's just like, hey, we have these cars, come down and check them out, and that definitely drew my attention and would make me want to at least look into working with this dealer or visit that dealership. Absolutely. What other things have you done? I know you've done some other unique marketing campaigns, or where you engage your customers. Tell me some other things.
Well, we've had a couple big concert events, which we've tagged along here. What's that, Matt?
That, Sean, because you're used to that. So I will say this, okay? Sean's dealership is enormous. It's 4 levels if you include the roof. 5 levels including the roof, and each level is like a proper size showroom. It's huge, right? So when you say concerts, where are these concerts actually happening? It's not like you're just sponsoring them.
No, it's on the second floor. in our SRT room. So it's like we take all of our muscle cars and we kind of group them. You know, Matt, I'm glad you brought that up about the dealership, because you've been to our store. You know, it's 4 to 5 levels, including service parking, customer parking, and everything else. But when you pull into the store, there's only about 30 or 40 parking spots, and that's our entire display. So when most people, why they overlooked this store, this location, was like, how am I going to sell 300 or 400 cars in a month to pay all these bills with 30 spots? Right. And that was we were talking about with the experience. So we have our actual our storage lot is about 1.5 miles away. But pre-COVID downtown traffic, it's literally 20 to 35 minutes each direction if customers want to test drive a car. Right. So can you imagine when your customer gets here, they come to your showroom and then telling them they have to wait 20 or 30 minutes to test drive a car? So that's why we really do have the experience, which, you know, I'll go back to the concert events. That was one. But the other thing is making your showroom into a showroom. And what I mean by that, the amount of customization of cars that we do, the wraps, all the different stuff, it gives buyers time to kick some tires while they're waiting for us to pull their car up to where they can go for a test drive, right? It's a real showroom. We don't just put cars there that are for sale, right? We put tricked out stuff that's, you know, just crazy that you would never think of. Matt, I know you follow us on social, and you should see, you know, you've seen some of the crazy stuff we do with cars.
Especially with those
but we do that as an advertising expense. We may lose money on the car when we sell it, but it gets a buyer once they hit your showroom, they're juiced. Right? They're like, oh man, I can just feel it. Like, now this is what I came to a car dealership for. This is the experience. They don't mind waiting 20 minutes, 30 minutes for a test drive when they can look at 40 or 50 of something that's really cool that they would only see in the LA car show. Right? So you combine that with your social media aspect. And I know, you know, I'd love to talk about our YouTubers if we have a chance, but then like the concert events that we do, like, you know, Matt, I know we had Snoop Dogg here. Right? And that was an awesome concert event.
Telling people
go ahead, Matt, go ahead.
I'm just saying, telling people that we're doing a Snoop Dogg concert at a Los Angeles Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealership, people don't believe me. And I'm like, no, I really did. I watched Snoop perform a concert at a car dealership. Like, who can do these things? Who imagines these things? You know, that one was so cool because it was free. Right. And that was just, you know, this company, there's a very, you know, it's a video game company. They loved all the different cars. They were looking for venues, and they loved the crazy cars that we had and all the different stuff. They're like, this is like, you know, this is a venue in itself. And they paid me to have a concert. Right. And win-win. It's great for our social, right? Because you're seeing all these people, and you know, Snoop Dogg is such a huge name in the community too, right? LA, right? Couldn't be more LA. What's more LA than Snoop Dogg, right? And so, you know, here's us at, hey, just sitting at Los Angeles Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, just hanging out with Snoop Dogg, you know, taking a picture. I mean, people just went bananas, right? People were pulling their car in front of the dealership just to see if they can get in. You know, of course, we had tons of security, and they couldn't. But it's, I'll tell you what, talking about putting your dealership on the map, it definitely worked.
Well, and that is so smart too, because I often think about like the real estate that dealerships have in terms of the actual facility. And how do you use that like to your advantage? You know, how do you use it for something like beyond just selling cars? Because there's a huge advantage to have like the real estate and the building and the facilities you have. And so I just think that was like brilliant that you found a way to like hold the concert, because the advertising company you were working with or the company you're working with needed the space, but then you're going to benefit because you get the branding, you get the, you know, Snoop Dogg there. So it's just like a win-win for all. And you're saying you didn't pay for that. They paid you.
They paid me. Yeah. It was a lot of work, let me tell you. It was not easy. Yeah, I mean, all the security aspects that go into it, I was like, but I was pretty tired that night by the time we got home. But I mean, the amount of people that went through on their social. And then what we did is, of course, we made our own Instagram walls and everything else because people are partying, they're having fun, and we got all these cool cars. And so what do you think they're doing the whole time? They're taking pictures, and we're giving them, we made IG walls where they can take pictures with our cars, with our logos, and pulled everything together. So they paid us, but we really monopolized on it.
So smart. So let's talk about your influencers. I want to kind of go through all the different things. So you said you work with influencers as well.
I do. You know, it's a combination with, and influencers can be tough, right? Because the great ones can be very controversial, right? So sometimes you can go too far, and you got to be careful with your dealership, right? You put your name on somebody, and a lot of times these great ones or the people that love to be followed are there because they are controversial.
Yeah.
Right? They really are. So how this came about was I was living here in downtown, and there's some big social media influencers in my building, and we kind of got connected. They stopped by. He stopped by at the store. His name's Corey, but he goes by Tall Guy Car Reviews, and he's blown up. And I think he hit his 1 million subscribers. So I think he's huge right now. So what we did is put a partnership with him together. And that was kind of the start. But then we realized that we had no idea what we were doing. Right. And I think that's the first thing with influencers is you can't measure it. Right. And if I can't measure something, I get a little nervous. So that's when I reached my hand up. I said, we got to figure something out because there's a huge market here for a dealership, but we know how to sell cars. So what we did is we went out and found a person, like a manager who does that. All they do is manage social influencers. And we brought him in-house. So he actually has an office in our dealership, right? So we go out and we find different influencers. He contacts them, and then he puts the contract together and holds them accountable, right? Because as a dealership, you don't know. I don't know. You give them money, but what do you really get, right? So he makes sure that everything is legal. What they say is what they're going to say, whatever they want. We don't hold them back. We just don't want them to get too controversial while they're pitching, us, right? So, but then he holds them accountable for everything that they do. How many times they talked about us, the product, how well they did, and because it's really tough to manage. It's a full-time job, and that's what we had to realize. And once we brought him in to help us manage this, it's kind of blown up, right? And now we have influencers that are showing up to buying cars, and they're saying, hey, look, this is who I am. This is how many followers. Can I get a deal, right? So now they're pitching us.
Wow.
To work with us, other than now we don't have to chase them, they're chasing us. So with our clothing line, right, we found another influencer that was real and has done very well for us. So we have a big Dodge brand, just all the horsepower, all that stuff. He's got his own clothing line. He combines it with Mr. Organic for him, with us, and our clothing line, the online sales have just gone crazy. So
everybody understands that, at the store, Sean and team have created a clothing line, a Jeep clothing line, right? So there's so much space within the store. The store is so huge that, Sean, sorry for stealing your thunder on this. There is actually a store within the store that sells clothing that they create. So I just figured it was in-person sales. I didn't realize it was online sales as well.
Wait, so am I looking at this, Sean? I'm on your Facebook page here. I see shop. Is this the clothing line?
Yeah, that's right. We have a bunch of stuff, right? We have, you name it, we got it. But like that particular sweatshirt that you just saw, that's one of my favorites. So that's a Hellcat sweatshirt that we did. And so what we do is we put different vehicle codes down the sleeves of the car, of the sweatshirt. So like, I think that one was the vehicle. That one right there, if you look down the side, you can't see it, but it's a Hellcat sweatshirt with a high-speed pursuit vehicle code down the side. So it'll say like BC 1305, right? So with the different influencers that we have, and we became the #1 Dodge Charger dealership in the nation in January, and we still do more Chargers than most stores do in the United States. So we're the premier Dodge brand dealership. And why we did that is because we got so in tune with our community, with the Hellcat brand, the Chargers and the Challengers, and we really reached out to that community So Tall Guy Car Reviews has been a huge help for us. He is completely all over the brand. He has a couple of Hellcats that we sold him. And I can't tell you how many people a day, because we laugh, right? They didn't buy their car here, but they come here, they stop, and then they burn out right out of our dealership, like just to kind of show us their car. So everybody comes here and burns out, right? And it's just all day we laugh. We hear it, like somebody just stopping by and they do a big burnout, or they always rev their car up and down Figueroa when they come by our dealership. And to most people, it's super annoying, but to me, I love it. It just means that everything I do is working, right? Because these people don't know us, but they're going to come by and do this huge burnout in front of our store, and it just cracks me up.
So the clothing line, what was your thoughts on the clothing line? And like, were you thinking of it from like actually a revenue standpoint, making money, or is it more to support your brand?
No, we don't. I don't think we make any money from it. Mm-hmm. But one, we were thinking about what's cool for our employees to wear, right? Let's go back to that. And then two, how do you make that experience in your dealership, right? All the different brands that we have, and a lot of stuff is ours. So but how do you really get your employees bought in on the brands, right? Because a lot of times, the car business can be transient, right? Salespeople bounce around. So how do you get them bought in on what they're selling? And part of it is with this. The other thing is customers. Like I said, it's a 20, 30-minute wait to take a test drive here. So people will go clothing shopping while they're just waiting to even test drive a car. You'd be surprised how many people that end up can't buy a car, but they walk out with 2 or 3 T-shirts or maybe a sweatshirt. We have people come over from all over the United States to come here and buy clothes because they see it on YouTube, Instagram, because we sell them, and people come here. Then they come to LA, they come to the store, 1, to take pictures with our cars, and 2, to buy clothing line. And it's great because it's just, the whole thing has gone crazy all through Instagram, and it's just been really, right? It's really created a powerhouse brand for us, and that's what's catapulted our Dodge brand.
That is so cool. I haven't seen anything like that. What about, so I also heard about go-kart racing at your store. I heard about a concert, Roberto Tapia concert, and I also heard about your restaurant at the store. So tell me all about those as well.
So, and this one I'm going to give credit to my partner. They were looking online. We had a restaurant, but we didn't know what to do with it. Okay. Which meaning that we didn't have anybody in there. We had the venue, but we didn't want to run a restaurant. Right. So we went out, and they found Crazy Cup online. And the girl that invented it, she's probably in her mid-20s, and her social media following is massive. So she had a few locations, and it just blew up, right, on social media. She absolutely blew up on social media. So she does no traditional advertising. Everything is social. And what she does is take the basic kind of the fruit, the Mexican carts that you see on the corner with the fruit, and they do like their own version of it with crazy candies and milkshakes and all this cool stuff, right? Well, she got huge, and what we told her was, hey, we'll give you the space. Just come in and run your business, right? So she put her business in, and when it first opened up, the first day it was opened, she just went on social, and we had 40 to 50 people at any given time in line to buy these fruit cups, right? But for us, the traffic, right, is massive. Okay. So, it's kind of like, you want your showroom kind of popping off, right? People feel good when it's just so much commotion, they're going, I'm in the right place. This is where I need to buy, right? Because everything's going on. So you got people just milling about everywhere, eating ice cream or drinking milkshakes or looking at the cars, right? When your showroom is packed with people, the buyers are going, okay, this is the spot to buy, right? And these people, when they're coming in, we get people from other dealerships near us that come just to visit the restaurant, right? So we're always talking to them, how are you guys? Like, oh, this is so cool, right? I can't tell you how many Jeeps we sold to salespeople at other car dealerships, right? And they're like, oh, I love this Jeep, I'm like, no problem, right? So we get all these different people because you got that much traffic coming through, right? And there you go. You found it. Right. And she does a great job marketing. We don't have to do anything. But our customers, you know, I got customers that come in and they're servicing, they run up there and, you know, grab, and it's not, you know, not overly cheap. But once again, you know, you connect to that community. Like I would have never thought of this, to be honest with you. Right. But people love it.
How unique is this? So when you said fruit cups, I was thinking I've definitely seen them kind of on the side of the road. You can buy it from the vendor, but this is like nothing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I wish I was in this business. That you should see the markup on that. But yeah, and so we really had to go back and take some lessons from a mid-20-year-old, right? So here's this girl, and I would say she's probably mid-20s, late 20s, and she has built this empire of these restaurants, and all on social media. She doesn't do any traditional advertising. And we all know how tough the restaurant business is, right? I mean, these places go in and out of business constantly. And she's been able to maintain even through this whole COVID situation. And she's got a loyal fan base. So we studied her, right? I don't care how old she is. I just watched somebody who was very successful and doing what she's doing. And so we kind of take off from our own social media platform. We're like, let's just copy her because obviously she knows what she's doing. And then it kind of invited her in.
Very innovative. That is amazing. For those who just joined, this restaurant that you're seeing is at the dealership, like physically at the dealership. You can buy this amazing dessert. And wow, that's so amazing.
You know, for being in the business for as long as I have, you know, sometimes you kind of forget the new advertising stuff that you may just miss, right? New ways to connect to your consumer. And this is a really great lesson to me from somebody in their mid-20s, right? That really crushed it with a business. And I'm like, there's got to be something to this, right? And so that's what we like, okay, well, let's do it. And so if you look at our own social media, you'll see our own t-shirts, sweatshirts, product. You won't see any sales stuff on there. You won't see any pricing, nothing like that. It's all going to be product, you know, and what's cool, what's not. Give us your vote. You know, do you like this? Do you like that? And we have 2 people that work full time for us, and that's all they do is our social media as far as pictures, right? Nobody wants to see the lease price of your Grand Cherokee, right? They can get that from your website. They can get that from you guys. They can get that from everything, right? And they want to see the product, right? And I think sometimes that we're our own victim. We always say we can't make any money. We're not making any gross. They're taking all of away from everything. And it's because we get too far away from our product, and we think that the consumer is too focused on price, when what we've noticed is they're really focused on product and experience.
That's great.
What I really love about this is that when you look at all these things that you're doing, if Sean had said, hey, look, I've had this store for 25 years, you know, and in 25 years, we've learned some things. But we're not even really at the 2-year mark. And so to show like this type of innovation of thought, this innovation of thought process and connection in something that's relatively new, I mean, I think it's incredibly refreshing, but it's also incredibly eye-opening for people who are in the automotive business who, just like you, say, you know, who may find difficulty in selling products because they're not creating an experience. They're allowing things to become commoditized. It's like, so, you know, and as Shauna says, I've been in the showroom. I've seen people laughing. I see people joking. I see people having a good time. I've seen people inside the Jeep store. And when you see all those environments, does negotiation over $5 really happen when somebody's really happy with you? You know, like, do you really get, you know, do you really have some of those contentious conversations as when a connection has not been built? So I think that this is just like really, it's like ingenious. It's kind of like an example for what could happen if people start looking to actually connect with buyers as opposed to just sell to buyers. I mean, sorry, I'll get off my story. I think it's a very important lesson. For people.
No, you're right. But I want to go back to something that you said earlier, which, you know, kind of struck me was, you know, how do I market to a community, right, that, you know, really I'm not part of, right? So I really had to get myself back in the community. And I don't know if you look at Tall Guy Car Reviews or where these 2 guys I lived, but they're both African-American, and they're probably 6'7", and I'm not 6'7". And we all started hanging out together at this apartment complex and it's right across the street from Staples. It's a really cool place. It's pretty high end. and we see these car garage, and they actually come here and they do different segments, and we talk not about cars. We talk about business, about how to better your life, right? We talk about what matters, and we talk about social issues, a lot of different stuff from different point of views. So people are following us, and they're following us to learn about, cars first, but they're also kind of I think they get to know us as well, right? I think they know who they're buying for, because I can't tell you how many emails I get a day from that say, hey, Sean, I saw you on this channel. I just want to say what you said was true, man. I'm getting up early in the morning. I'm getting my hustle, and it's really been neat to connect to that community. Second of all is, like the cars, we do all those custom cars, right? So I'm going to do the cars that I like differently than maybe some of the market that I'm catering to, right? So I bring them in, they help me design these custom cars, and then they talk about them and sell them, right? So if you go online, it's stuff that I could never dream of, right? Like, gold wraps, red rims, I don't know, muscle cars, it's just, but then I get into it. Right. And then so we're kind of sharing. So then we start help building cars. Right. So we take these influencers and we say, hey, what do you guys think? And then the audience gets into it and says what we should build. And then we go out and actually do it. Right. So the audience who will not be able to afford the $100,000 car, but they'll be able to afford the $30,000 car, helps us build these cars. And then we build them and they put them on the showroom, and then they actually want to come see them. Right? Because they say, oh, I voted for that. I voted for the orange one with the caramel interior with the cheetah wrap or whatever it is, right? Whatever we built that day, they're into it. And so what happens when you have all these people coming to buy cars, and they want to check us out. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, tell me about this. So this is, I didn't read the post completely, but it looks like he's referencing your dealership. Did you work with him on this particular car? This is the tall guy.
We've done a bunch of cars with him. So he still works with us every single month. That's his car. I built the outside. I wrapped it, and then he picked out the rims. And if you look at the car today, it looks totally different. It's bright gold, but we constantly change it to get the audience involved, right? And we constantly build different cars. And you'll see people just talking about it, right? But if you see these guys, and I don't know if you can find Mr. Organic too. It's ORGANIK. It's not C. Okay. But this is LA, right? I mean, we have so much fun with it because I'm not going to, coming from San Diego. Well, I'm probably not going to build a car like that. But then I'm missing my customer base.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And I don't work. I don't sell cars. This is not, you got to take care of you can't dictate your customers. Your customers are going to dictate, right? And so if you want to fight your customer base, and you're just crazy. And it can be so much fun once you get, and now I'm so into it that, I can pick out all the different cool stuff. I know all what sells and what doesn't. But when I say people come to our showroom to see a car show, then that's what they get. They get stuff like this, right? Where else you're not going to see that in most dealer lots.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a quote. We put the show in showroom, right?
Right.
Like, we really take that word showroom for we take it for granted, and so you've added show in showroom. And I think when you think of, I'm going to call him a kid. I'm assuming he's like in his 20s. He's younger than me. I'm in my 40s.
31. I stopped.
He's 31. Wow. Okay. So here's the thing about that generation of like millennials and Gen Z is even when you're older than them, I still think we all kind of aspire to them in some way or another. So it's like, not that I would drive this car, but I can connect to it still. On it standing out from the crowd, having a lot of color. So I think that's really smart to use influencers like that, because he taps into a certain generation, but he also taps into older generations too.
Oh yeah, I mean this is LA, right?
Yeah.
I mean it is this. I love it. Okay, because it crosses all races, it crosses all ages. I get people, that say, I love this stuff. Great, thank you. And then the biggest compliment was I got from my 17-year-old who said, Dad, I had no idea you're hanging out with a tall guy. He's my favorite. That's so cool. And by the way, that new Scat Pack shirt you made, can you send me one? Right? And I'm like, Oh man, now I'm really cool, right? Now I know I'm cool because my 17-year-old actually says I'm cool. Because I'll tell you what, it would kill him to say that anything I do is cool, even in the remote sense. But
that is awesome.
So we go with, and it's been a lot of fun. And right now it's been tough, obviously, with COVID because we can't get any cars built because they're so backordered on parts. But I mean, we put these, I don't know if you looked at Corey's other truck or Tall Guy and you see it, but we built this giant monster truck for him. So that was one of the things, like I said, is challenging in your market is Ram Trucks told us that, hey, it's just a downtown LA location. You're not going to sell any trucks. They sell around 5 a month. They never sell trucks, right? Well, we kill it in trucks. And we don't know why, but we sell a ton of 4x4 trucks. And you wouldn't think this location would, but then once we started building trucks and getting our buyer into it and figuring out who the buyer was and catering to that buyer and ordering the way we should order, trucks have taken off, right? So like I said, it's just been a great experience getting to know our community and really who our customer base is.
Yeah, and you know, it's not legacy. I mean, it's like.
Are you there, Matt?
Matt, we can hear you, Matt.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. What I was saying is like it's not legacy customers. This is all new.
All new. There was no legacy customers when we got here.
Yeah. I remember I did like. It's just so incredible how this thought process can just lead to such quick results. And, you know, 2 years is not quick. It's not overnight, but in the span of owning dealerships or being in automotive, it is relatively quick.
Oh yeah. I'm hoping I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek of the showroom. I don't know if I can carry my laptop out there or not. Do you guys think it'll work?
Let's try it.
Give it a shot.
You guys want to see what's on there?
Yeah, let's try it.
I think this will kind of depict of who, and remember, we're not fully stocked, right? Because it's been so tough. So I'm going to switch you guys to Wi-Fi.
All right, if you disappear, we'll jump back on.
I'll jump back on, but this will be fun.
All right, breaking news, everyone who just tuned in. We're going to get
because you know everyone's kind of probably sitting out there going, yeah, he's full of it, right?
We're going to get a live tour of Los Angeles Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Okay, I'm connected. Let's see if I do this.
It's a risky business, but it's worth it.
It is.
No, it's
okay,
good.
Am I still with you guys?
Yep, you're still here.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's get the tour. It's funny that you said let's do the real tour because you describe this stuff, and I even was kind of like, oh, okay, it's a restaurant. But when you see it, or your influencers you work with, it brings it to life. So let's see your show.
Right. Now, granted, we're a little light on stuff because of COVID. We haven't been able to get any stuff built, right? But first, let's just step out here. Let me see if I can get it. Let's see.
Oh, I see.
You can probably see a giant. Am I too high?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
Look at that Jeep.
Oh, you want to see the Jeep?
It looks like it's on fire. You got flames on the wrap?
Okay, let's see if I can get over there without making you seasick.
Okay. Oh, I see it. Wow. Very cool.
That's awesome.
Very cool. I love it. And so your goal on that is to draw people's attention. I mean, they may not actually buy that car, but while they're waiting, they could be entertained at the car show.
That's awesome.
Really cool. Love that.
And what is that, 2500 behind you?
Look at those wheels.
Cool.
Okay, so next I'm going to show you, and I tell you, we kind of resonate between all different people. Here's a vintage drag car, right? They actually made a Hot Wheels out of this, a Matchbox. It's a vintage Plymouth drag car that still runs 6 seconds today.
Wow.
Right? So between this, the Jeep, the lifted truck, I'll take you over to our Jeep store.
Hey, Sean, do you switch these cars out like periodically or regularly?
Yeah, I usually sell.
You sell them. That's right.
Yeah. You can see our Jeep store.
Very cool. So are these clothes unique to your store, or do other dealers have them as well?
No, we make them.
Wow.
Like who's gonna? I don't know if you could see them. You know, the SRT, the money truck, or the Hellcat.
That's pretty cool.
So there's Wrangler Nation.
Oh, that's awesome.
Los Angeles.
That's awesome.
It's an entire experience, you know, going into your store. It's like beyond just buying a car. I can look at really cool cars I aspire to. I can go shopping and get some clothes, and go to the restaurant. I mean, it's an entire experience.
Yeah, so we'll go one more car over here.
Yeah.
Now this one's pretty fun. This is one of my favorites. I don't know if you guys can see this.
Oh,
What?
yeah.
Is that a Gladiator? For real? No, that's what is that? That's unlimited. But what's on the front? Is this Mad Max?
This is Mad Max.
Really cool.
John, I love this. This is fantastic.
You don't mind me asking, how much did that cost?
85
discount, that is.
85 grand. And we sell them all the time. You'd be surprised. We had, I don't know if do you guys know the rapper Roddy Ricch?
Yeah.
He was just here. He bought a Hellcat from us.
Amazing.
You know why he bought it? You know why he bought from us?
Tall guy?
No. Because when he was just starting out, let me see if I can get, Crazy Cups is not open yet, so it's tough to see, but you can kind of see the rest of our dealership.
Yeah, beautiful facility.
And that's where the concerts are held.
This is where the concerts are held?
Over in there.
Okay, in that section.
Yeah.
So everyone who just joined, that we have Snoop Dogg concerts at the dealership. We have Roberto Tapia concerts. Amazing.
So the reason why he bought from us is because our competitor, a Highline luxury store down the street, when he was first starting out, he went to go buy this fancy car and no one would talk to him. And yeah, it happens. Yeah. Right? So he comes here and of course, you know, we saw him his first car, which I think he totaled or something like that. But then after he won his Grammy, he came back and bought 3 from us, which was pretty cool.
Wow. That is.
Yeah, I bought one for his manager. So he bought a big lifted Gladiator and a Hellcat. And so, you know, that's what I mean by kind of like connecting to our community. Okay, that was a big walk for me. I'm heading back in. I got my exercise for the day.
No, that was
and that's kind of,
it brought it to life. It brought what you were saying to life.
Good, I'm glad.
That is
so
great.
I don't know if you saw, did you see their big, you saw the Gladiator Jeep, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a great story, right? And this is why I love LA. So there's a guy in a wheelchair and he had a bag, right? And he had like, he was picking cans, trash can. And we have some transient issues, but he seemed nice. So we kind of just let him do his own thing. And so we're always nice, right? Unless you give us problems, because we do have security here. Mm-hmm. So he was nice, do your thing, right? He goes, hey, how much is that truck? He said, 80, you know? He goes, I'm going to buy it. We go, okay, sir. You know, very polite to everybody, right? Okay, well, you're picking the cans out of our trash can, right? And he looked transient, right? Yeah. He came back 6 hours later, no BS, cashier's check, Bank of America, $88,000. We literally had to put his wheelchair in the back of the Jeep for him in that thing, and his family has to carry him up. Get the connections. You had to get the connections for the Jeep.
What?
So
are you kidding?
I love LA because you never know who you're talking to. What's that?
Wow, that's amazing. Do you think
you
he
never
was
know
trying to test you guys? Do you think he was trying to test you guys by picking stuff out the trash can?
No, because he comes here for service all the time. That's just the way he is.
That is unbelievable. That's
why I love LA, because you never know who you're talking to.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely. You can't judge a book by its cover. That is the lesson there.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. You are amazing. Like
not here.
Not here. What you put together is amazing at your store. I just, you know, that's I don't think anybody who's watched this whole show can deny that. As we get ready to wrap up, because I've already stolen 20 more minutes from you than I said I was going to, I want to ask you, I'm going to ask you, I have a final question. I'm sure Carrie has one too. What about your store and your business makes you most proud?
So I would say probably my staff.
Are you guys there?
I'm still here, Carrie. Are you still there?
What?
Might be cutting out now.
Oh.
Can you hear us, Sean? You're cutting out. It probably was when you started walking around the showroom. It was worth it though.
Isn't that a beautiful showroom? Uh-oh.
Oh, I love you.
You're back. You're back.
I'm back. Hard line.
Okay, good.
Amazing. So, you know, we've really struggled. Obviously, when we took over this place, most of the people did not stay, and we had to rebuild really from scratch. And the thing that's kind of made us most proud, I think, is watching the growth, and not only into the individuals, but that's contributed to the store and everybody's bought in. So our service department, which was just deplorable before, is now #1, right? And why that's important, it's important to profitability, but it's also important to customer retention, right? So we have all these great technicians and great mechanics who we've trained in a short period of time. We put a massive emphasis into training our technicians, a huge, huge expense to my partner and I to train these. And it's important because no matter how good you are at selling a car, if you can't fix your customer's car, they just will not come back. Mm-hmm. They may love you, but if they have too many problems or you can't fix their car and it's a miserable experience, they're not going to come back to you. So taking that place from 0 to #1 in North LA was probably our biggest achievement, because we know long-term, that's what our customers are going to know and expect from us and from a dealership.
Sean, I have a final question. There's a dealership right now that's watching us, and they're in Indiana or Missouri or Wisconsin, and maybe they don't have access to Snoop Dogg or some of the cool things that you've done at your store, and they're thinking, well, thanks, Sean, that works for you. You're in LA, but like, what is my takeaway? What can I do in my market that's very different? Like, what advice would you give to that person to uniquely stand out?
Well, they have access to customers, right? So like I said before, put the show back into your showroom. When people walk into your dealership, make it exciting, right? If the dealership experience or the dealerships get phased out, it's going to be because of the dealership's fault, right? If we become by the wayside, it's our fault because we're not putting the show, like I said, into showroom. So they can create an experience for their customer. They can absolutely connect through whatever's going on locally in their community, right? And remember, if it's too salesy, if it's too much about selling a car, you're not going to resonate, right? Give them the experience first. Trust me, they'll ask you to buy the product. So I think it's any market, anywhere. I don't care if it's Alaska, San Diego, the middle of nowhere. You have a customer base that's interested in your product, right? So make it an experience and make it a fun and make it a show. And you'll watch your gross profit increase. You'll watch your employee retention increase. And it'll all flow together and you're going to have a great dealership.
That's awesome. I think experience is everything I heard from you. But if anything, you're also a brand. I mean, it's your brand. You've created a brand
Correct.
Out of your store. And I think everybody could learn from that, just not from an automotive retail standpoint, but just from a business standpoint, right? What is your brand? What is your experience? And how is it going to be differentiated and unique? So I've personally learned a lot. Thank you so much. I am ashamed that I live in Southern California and I have not been to your store. So that is going to be next on my list to actually physically visit your store. I really appreciate you being on, Matt. Any final words?
Sean, thank you.
No.
Sean, sincere thank you for being on the show. Thank you for everything that you've done for the LA car market. I think you're setting an example. But as a person, oh boy, here I go. I honestly appreciate somebody as a business saying, I want to reach out to who the demographic of my product actually is. You know, in some cases, you know, you feel, some people feel like, you know, nobody cares. That as a consumer, nobody's talking to me. As a consumer, nobody's thinking about me. Somebody should be thinking about me when I'm trying to buy something that's 20 grand, 30 grand, 5 grand. So I think it's like, it's admirable that you took the time, that you took the research, and you made the commitment to understanding how to connect with the people who are actually going to sell your or purchase your product and evangelize your brand. And then it's like, that's like a sincere thanks. I think that there's more of that needed throughout all marketplaces.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you
so much, Sean.
Thank you, guys. Good seeing you.
Yes, we appreciate your time, and keep doing the good work.
All right.
Bye.
Wow. I mean, it's funny because I feel exhausted after that interview because my mind was going all over the place. Like there was so much stimulation in terms of the various things he's doing and how unbelievable. Like I think I said that saying maybe 4 times throughout this interview because it was unbelievable how outside of the box this dealership is relative to everything I've seen in my 22-year career in automotive.
Yeah. He's and I'm lucky enough to have been there. And you know, there's also like the pay plans are different, the hiring processes are different, the training processes are different. Everything about the store is different because they were lucky enough, in my opinion, to start from a position like, what do you have to lose? Literally, when they bought the store, I think that the store was selling like 5 cars a month or something silly like that, right? So everything was up. So they took some liberties, and that's just fantastic. But yeah, who has Snoop Dogg concerts in their showroom, right?
Yeah, Matt, we're gonna have to have Sean back on, and I hope he hears this, but we're gonna have to have him back on because we really just scratched the surface. We did all the fun stuff, but you're right, like how he hires and trains and retains, all that stuff is like so important. So I feel like we're going to have him back on for part 2.
You know what? Maybe if we get him back on, maybe he'll give us a discount on some of these Jeep shirts. I don't have a Jeep, but I feel like I can rock this SRT pullover that they got on their windbreaker. This is awesome.
Yeah, no. So I think my takeaway, just to wrap up, is put the show back in the showroom. It's a showroom. It's supposed to draw attention. It's supposed to keep people excited and involved and wanting to be tied to the dealership and wanting to visit the dealership. We got to put the show back in the showroom.
Absolutely. My takeaway is connect with the buyer. Like really, like form a connection and create an experience, so it's not just a commodity. You know, if you've sold cars, every sales manager will tell you like, hey, why do people shop at Nordstrom's when they could shop at Target for socks? You know, True. It's an experience. You know, you feel good about yourself. You feel good about that, and that's my takeaway. I know that they're doing that.
Well, thank you everyone who's watched the show. We had a lot of comments going on, a lot of thumbs ups during the show. I appreciate it. We'll be back next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific for our next Industry Insider. Thanks, Matt.
Wait.
What?
If you're a salesperson watching this show, make sure that you watch next week's show. That's all that's the only spoiler that I'm going to give you. If you sell, if you are a seller, make sure that you watch next week's show. It's going to be very, very informative.
We have a superstar on the show in sales, right?
A superstar that bucks a lot of traditions of what a superstar salesperson should be. So if you're in sales, cut the time out now. Get ready to see us next week.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next week.